Well, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people ask us, what are the different classes in SVRA? Because we technically have 12 classes and then a few special classes. This is a great representation of a Group 1 car, a 1300cc small, nimble, light car. So it's got 1300 cc's. This one's in the rear, but MGs, midgets, Bridgets, all kinds of things like that. But also Group 1 cars had to be built in a factory. So that is a small bore production car is a Group 1 car. SVRA Group 3, one of my favorites because I always love the small bore British production cars. Triumph Spitfire, a great representation. These Triumph Spitfires, very good Group 3 cars, always out there competing against the air-cooled Porsche 356s, the 912s, but I prefer the Spitfires. So Group 4, I can't think of a better representation than the beautiful Lotus 11. Back in the day in the 50s, Group 4 cars were like the top of the class, the elite cars, like a C-type Jaguar, D-type Jaguar, and then the beautiful Lotus 11s. That is Group 4, a little bit more rare than some of the production cars, technically production cars, but a lot more rare, limited run. Group 5A, the sports racers, one of the most competitive classes we have in SVRA, a driver's class. These cars are easy to maintain, relatively inexpensive. They have 2-liter Ford Pinto engines that you could easily source back in the day from junkyards, and then the bodies are just little pieces of fiberglass. Really fun as 5A sports racers. SVRA 5B, a really fun group to watch, especially the really quick ones at 5B tend to be these Lotus 23s, the 23Bs, 1600cc engine. But something that Travis, the driver, just pointed out, you got 4 lug nuts up front, 6 lug nuts in the back, and that became quite a fiasco in the FIA back in the day. So SVRA Group 6, always a favorite of the crowds, the production American factory-built muscle cars with some race provenance, especially when you bring something like a Shelby GT350, an actual Shelby, and you will see these quite a bit at an SVRA weekend. Group 7, some of our sports racers, but this is a 2-liter, a little bit more beefed up, a little bit more downforce, a little bit more aggressive. They call it kind of the mini Can-Am. These are some crazy cars with crazy ideas as Group 7 and a lot of fun to watch. So when I think of Group 8, I think of these air-cooled Porsche 911s, just always been absolutely dominant in Group 8, but also representing Group 8 would be like the Datsun 510s, the B sedans, or the Alpha, the BMW 2002s. But I think anybody would say that the Porsche 911 air-cooled would be the best representation of Group 8. You need some help, Bill? So Group 10, kind of a catch-all to tube frame cars. So ex-Trans Am cars, some ex-IMSA cars, but then a really big growing group in SVRA is this Group 10 stock car. So you've got stock cars that would have run late model, NASCAR, Xfinity. Then we've got the Craftsman Truck Series over here. But Group 10 tube frame, custom built race cars from Trans Am, NASCAR, and IMSA. SVRA Group 11, and when you talk about Group 11, that's kind of like the prototypes, the LMP cars, but we might as well highlight the most famous Group 11 car, this Audi that just kind of changed everything in motorsports, but also this very car, Audi itself claims as the most winning Audi ever made, great thanks to Travis Engen, the pilot of this beautiful Audi R8. Group 12A, modern production muscle cars. So these are big, like 5-liter, basically our modern version of Group 6 cars, but a Ford factory production car that is a vintage car because it's kind of been obsoleted from recent racing, and we have a place for it here in Group 12 and SVRA. So a standalone group, maybe the most strict, historic Trans Am, easily a crowd favorite in vintage racing and SVRA. These cars here, it's just crazy being around them. These are actually the cars, just as they were, that actually raced in the Trans Am series back in the day. They have to be set up the way they were. And they are so strict, come with me here, that if they don't have pictures proving that this car had this Bell sticker on it, or Castrol, or any of these stickers, they can't run it. It has to look exactly like it did back when Parnelli Jones ran this car in Trans Am.
All right, the field is getting ready to come to green here with groups 7, 9, 11, and PSSA ready to go. Stuart Crow on the pole. In car number 3, that's the blue and white one, Ralt RT40. He's going to lead us up the hill with Mark Brannon in a Lola T9720, giving chase from his second position starting spot.
Then Travis Engen right behind him, and Roger Pujol, Mark Giroux in an Indy Lights car, Scott Rendy, Dan Palambella, Hal Bear, and Jack Lugas. This is a split start then. Also, we have PSSA behind.
Yep.
Stuart Crow, though, he's had this car since its inception, and he's been developing it year after year, very fast out front.
And the PSSA field just taking the green. They're on their way now. And it looks like it's the 95 Zach Mosley at Revolution 500 Evo.
Yeah, followed by Chris Hinojosa, Andrew Lang, Chris Vian, and Mark Hannafin in that Can-Am, modern Can-Am car.
Yeah, Newark Can-Am car, right? Looks like the Can-Am McLarens of the 60s and 70s, yet it's all modern design and technology and safety.
So we had a big long break, and I'm watching the drivers come through that oil drive, pushing up some smoke.
Oh, we got contact coming off of the carousel too.
Oh no.
In the fight for second there. Second or third.
Summit, turn 7, Summit Racing, turn 7, now down the
These
Q3 S's.
PSSA cars are really going to whistle down through those S's, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're going to fly through there.
Now it's saying that Zach Mosley in my timing and scoring is the 95, but he's not usually our Batman driver. I was looking at the Batman car. That's usually Ron Fletcher, but I don't have a score for him, I don't think. Maybe his, what do you call the scoring thing under the cars?
Transponder?
Transponder isn't working.
Yeah.
There's the 30 of Mark Giroux. I don't have a sheet, so what is that number 2 there, the orange car? Is that a Chevron? Looks like a Chevron.
The number 2 is Roger Pujol in a Chevron B39.
Watch Mark Giroux's helmet. He leans like a fighter pilot, left and right.
And Giroux is in a Lola T9720.
We'll see him again. He and Travis Engen have very similar Group 9 cars and very similar Group 2 Formula B cars. Now see the Batman car back there?
Yeah.
It's not showing up on my scoring. The 47?
Oh,
it is Ron Fletcher. Okay, so he came through and all of a sudden his transponder worked. So I was right. I always know Ron Fletcher as the Batman car. Well, Zach Mosley out front, but look for Ron because that's the Evo Revolution with the flat wing, not the reverse dihedral. So I think it has a little something extra. Andrew Lang just behind in the Norma M20 FC.
These are our PSSA cars.
The Prototype Sprint Series Association, which is a little bit redundant, but it's presented by Hankook Tires, and this is a pretty fast-growing series of Radicals, LMP3, Revolutions, Prototypes, lots of fun. And there's that Can-Am car we were talking about, that modern Can-Am.
The New Art Can-Am machine of Mark Hannafin, number 47.
So you can see those big, tall stacks behind, just like the Can-Am cars in the
Big
heyday.
old velocity stacks. And it looks just like a McLaren M8, doesn't it?
But talking to Hannafin and Edward Savajian, it has the safety features that those Can-Am cars back then didn't have. Because back then it was basically, here's your wheelbase, here's how wide the car can be, here's how much it can weigh, go nuts. That was basically the rule book.
Yeah.
And they went nuts. They made like birdcage frames and put, 900 horsepower engines in them.
And fuel tanks on both sides of the drivers.
Yeah. And not the safest series. So
No.
this is a safer, more modern version of a Can-Am, which I like that much better.
Still a great looking car, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's just a classic race car design.
And it still has the performance of the Can-Am cars from back in the day, but a lot more safety features. Look at this, though. This is quite the PSSA race. Ron Fletcher coming up behind in that Batman car, the number 47.
You said he would do that, and he is.
He was our first year in PSSA champion, and they win a $10,000 cash prize for that. Side by
Norma,
side.
car that belongs to Andrew Lang.
Now this is funny. Zach Mosley, Ron Fletcher, they've been racing since the inception of PSSA. Been racing against each other. Ron Fletcher around. Both of them look like they're in the Revolution Evos with that flat rear wing. There's Travis Engen. Look at that thing go around.
Well, the track conditions about as good as we've had it all weekend right now.
Yeah.
Still cool out there, but at least everything's dry.
Comes Travis Engen, and number 31, Lola T9720 with his Red Bull helmet. I like this era of Indy Light IndyCar. It's kind of a less is more approach.
Yeah, can see that.
What's your favorite IndyCar era?
70s, I would say.
Back when they were still trying things.
Yeah, there was still a lot of creativity, right? You went to the Speedway in May and you didn't know
Could be 100 of them.
And it could be 100 cars and 100 different designs. And you didn't know which one was going to come out first.
Look at this, though. This is quite a battle in PSSA. The
Oh,
Norma
man.
goes around.
The Norma had to take the wide line, didn't it? I certainly love the 80s as far as the level of competition and the drivers that were in the series, from Mario and Nigel Mansell and 80s and into the 90s.
Al Jr., Lyondike, Fittipaldi.
Michael.
I'm a Rick Mears fan.
Yeah. How could you not be? Danny Sullivan, certainly an excellent era of competition for the series. I just, as a fan, love the cars of the 70s. My favorite one is the Bronner Hawk.
The what?
Bronner Hawk.
I don't know that
Mario's car that won in '69.
Oh, okay, nice, yeah.
Because it's Mario's car that won in '69. But if you want to talk about pure cool, the Johnny Lightning specials of Al Unser Sr.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Stuart Crow out to a large gap in his Walt RT40 over Mark Brannon in his Lola T9720, followed by Travis Engen, Lola T9720, followed by Mark Giroux, Lola T9720. Ron Fletcher has now separated himself from this big group of three coming around Summit Racing turn 7, but this big group behind him, look at that.
Oh boy. And I think he kept it off the wall too.
That's the 62 of Chris Hinojosa.
He was going in deep, wasn't he?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was a tire failure or he just put all four heavy on the brakes, smoked them surely, flat spotted them. And you see the corner worker was Johnny on the spot with that yellow flag.
Oh, yeah.
Nice job. So Crow, Brannon, Engen, Giroux, Pujol, Rendy, Fletcher, Mosley, Hinojosa, Lang, Vian, Palambella, Bear, Hannafin, and Lugas as the safety car is standing up. I was calling Mark Giroux because it's kind of spelled like Giroux, and he came up to me one day and he says, Giroux, like kangaroo. And you can't forget that. You know?
You can't.
I love that. He's trying to get around Mark Hannafin in that what I'd call like a McLaren M8B.
Yeah.
You know, I was telling this story, I can't remember if we talked about it on live, but the reason it's R2-D2 and C3PO is because of McLaren. George Lucas always loved the McLarens and the alphanumeric names of the M8F and things like that. And so he's like, well, my robots will be C3PO or R2-D2 alphanumeric. Just a little homage to the, the McLarens
great.
and the cars like that.
Of course, Lucasfilm's just down the road from here.
Yeah. And his senior thesis was at Willow Springs with, who was driving the car?
I think I have heard that story.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You can look it up. We usually share it on May the 4th on our websites or social media. But so we have a safety car was standing up, but I'm not sure if we have a, well, we don't have a full course caution. Here we go. So here's Stuart Crow. I was talking to him at the hotel the other night. So he's driving that orange 911T Sportmatic. He drives it to the hotel to here. And every year, I love Stuart Crow. He's a great guy and big car lover. And you can see how that car is set up. But he always drives the coolest cars. Last year was one of those 911 set up for safari. Just like a 911 Baja car, off-road 911. And now he brings a 911T. So, but look at that car. It's so set up.
And a Toyota Atlantic era racing machine. And the Players Championship.
Crow Holdings, and I believe his son was racing a Formula Ford with us last year and was Rookie of the Year.
The Formula Atlantic series of that era was certainly highly competitive.
Really? So Ron Fletcher fell back. The Norma got around him. Not sure what happened.
Yeah.
But Ron Fletcher going to have to get around. Andrew Lang. This gap is closed. This is the gap for first and second, and Brannon, who was 7 seconds back just 2 laps ago, has now put it to 2 seconds. So see, even the straightaway has a little kink in it.
Yep, sure does. And that's uphill, by the way, too. As you come out of the bottom of the carousel, you start to climb again. Back up to 7. Here's how that pass was made, Ben. Got a better run off the carousel.
Little pick and roll from the traffic. So Fletcher in the Batman car. Why so serious? That's what he used to have on the wrap. He's run a Batman livery for about 2 to 3 years with us.
Yeah, he's put it on top of the hill there right next to our TV compound.
Okay. I haven't even been to the TV compound this weekend. They don't let me go in there anymore.
Oh, yeah, there's reasons why you haven't been there.
They said in my ears to stay away. So Lang, that car looks hooked up right now. That Norma. And Stuart Crow with Crow Holdings holding his own out there.
Mark Brandon in the Lola T9720.
Has a little resemblance to a Ferrari.
Sure does. There goes the chevron.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on SpeedTour TV, leave us a comment. Where are you watching from? Who are you rooting for? Tell us if you have any good information on some of these drivers, the cars, anything like that. This is your chance to yell at the commentators if we get something wrong.
Yeah, the Atlanta car making the big pass up the inside, going through 1 and up to 2. Man, that was a gutsy move by Crow, and he pulled it off. Brandon right on his heels.
Steiny V8 is watching from New Zealand right now.
Oh,
wow, love that. So look at this, that gap is closing with the leaders.
I'm not even going to guess on the time change there.
Yeah, I love New Zealand.
Haven't been there.
You got to go, and you got to go to
Like
the North and South Island because it really is almost like 2 different countries. But Brandon 2.2 behind, but right behind Stuart Crow. That was the last time they crossed the line. And now Lang still out front of Ron Fletcher. This is 1-2 in PSSA. And then 1-2 in Group 9 is Crow and Brannon. They decreased by 1 second. Crow and Brannon
comes, making the move, looking outside. Can he cross back over? No, he lost a lot of speed mid-corner there.
Yeah, you scrub it off a lot. Lang was able to hang on, but Ron Fletcher might be setting him up for next time. He might try to show him he's going to go out there.
Chevron slowing down.
Looks like he might have went off and then recollected it. But we're down to 1.2 seconds now in the lead. And white flag, I believe, is out. No, it's not. I think it's next time by the white flag comes out on Stuart Crow, the leader. And that gap is decreasing, Stuart Crow.
'16 is Scott Rind, Ralt RT5.
So this is for 1-2 in PSSA.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Hal Bear in an SCC Enterprises FE2. I didn't think that looked like a roll.
Here we go, Ron Fletcher. Where are you going to take him? I'm going to say, let's see if he tries to do something different at Summit Racing 7 or outside of the carousel. Here's our leader, Stuart Crow and Crow Holdings.
White flag is out as he went by and up into 1.
And Brannon fell back just a little bit.
I'll tell you what, Stewart is carrying a tremendous amount of speed through 1 all the way up to 2.
Looks like he might have had a little bit of play with the lap traffic as Brandon's now around, so I don't know. That's a big lead for Stuart Crow for Brandon to try to come back at. You can see a little bit of tire deg in the middle of the right rear tire. You don't see that often. As he comes around, tire deg, kind of slang for tire degradation, meaning the tires are starting to wear away late in the race, late into the weekend. Do you see that, how the patch is in the middle of the rear tire? You don't see that very often. He is flying. I don't process information quickly enough to race that fast. But here he comes to take the checkered.
Meanwhile, the rest of the field fighting up on the hillside. There's the checkered flag waving. There's your race winner, Stuart Crow. Put a clinic on from this one getting the green.
Ralph Shaheen, the Racing Ear podcast says, Ralph Shaheen went to a rival high school.
Oh, where did he go? Christian Brothers?
He went to in El Camino.
Oh,
Sacramento?
El Camino, yeah, sure. He was
that a rival?
El Camino Eagle. I went to Jesuit. Yeah.
But he said he really enjoyed visiting yesterday in turn 2 and saw that McLaren M8F spin out and recover in the rain.
Well,
he says now he's in Roseville.
My buddy that was here yesterday went to Rio Americano down the street from Jesuit, another one of his rivals. So we
we're
had
just getting some
Sacramento well represented here yesterday.
People are talking trash on here, man. Rival high schools.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Nobody says nice things about you. Here we go. This is for PSSA.
Oh, boy, that's locking him up deep into the corner there. Hard on the brakes. Who's going to make it stick? Coming into 12. It's still dead even. Oh, I think you got to give it to the Batmobile.
Yeah. That was almost a transponder race.
It really was. He had him by no more than from the tip of the splitter back to the axle on the front, which is not a lot of room on that car.
That was a ballsy move going into Q3 11.
Well, he pulled it off perfectly.
But Lang gave him the room.
He did.
Good for Lang to see him coming, because Lang, yeah, I know it's disappointing to finish second, but you're going to finish under your own power. So to me, that's a win.
Yeah, that was good hard racing is what that was. Here it is again. Watch this. I don't know if you can tell as well from that angle. You can't.
I want to see the replay of the around 11, because that was the move. There it is.
Yep.
Boink.
Just got him.
Lucas. Good capture there, buddy. Since all of our camera operators are named Lucas, you got to go say that.
You're pretty safe.
We have had that before, Ralph, where somebody was fixing their car and they just kind of threw their transponder in a bag behind the seat, and then he won the race by photo, but the transponder was back and the other guy's transponder was forward, and the other guy scored the win, and that's how it is by the rules.
Yeah, of course. Normally transponders are always in the same spot.
Not with us. With SVRA, they don't have to be unless it's a spec series in SVRA.
Yeah. I know, like in motorcycle racing, transponders are always in the same spot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On the bike, so that you can evenly decide who won.
Well, there's Group 8 coming up next. That's going to be another banger. Here's some highlights, Ralph.
Well, this was all Stuart Crow from the beginning. He got out front and waved number 1 and just checked out. There's some good action back behind him, especially in the PSSA category. The new Art Can-Am car made a lot of thunder for everybody to enjoy. And the Batman ride came through in the end for a class win. And Stuart Crow took the overall. And we're going to take a quick break here at Sonoma Raceway. And we'll be right back to the wine country after this. Congratulations, Stuart Crow.
Rev up and get ready for race day with Mission Foods. The world's best racers and tastiest products come together to make every race delicious. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy to make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.